Hey, Jason here. I'm down at the Trump International Golf Club. I'm here with Golf Digest Middle East, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Players Irons category in the 2017 Hot List. Firstly, let's start off. What would we classify as a player's iron? Now, normally in the past, what we'd look at is something that's got slightly smaller head. If you look at the sole of the golf club, it'll be slightly thinner, and the top line of the golf club, it's going to be a lot thinner. As well as majority of the player's irons are forged irons. So what we're talking about when we're talking about player's irons is something that just looks quite a bit smaller than a bigger club. And what it'll do is it's really going to feel a little bit different because of the forged iron, and it's quite a bit less forgiving than a normal game improvement club. So from a technology perspective in players irons, I've certainly noticed a bit of a progression over the last couple of years. And what I've been seeing is that we're seeing multi-material clubs. So I've just got the AP2 here, the 716. So what we're looking at is we're looking at the tungsten in here. This is in the players category. That is just a multi-material head, and what it does is you're able to redistribute the weight, okay, and then make the club a little bit more forgiving, as well as some dampening pads in the back here which help the off-centered strikes, less vibration. The other area of technology that I'd like to look at is the amount of cavity that we're seeing in the players club category now. So I'm just going to grab one here. I've grabbed the i200 from the Ping, and this is a good example. You can see how much cavity is in the back of this golf club, how much weight they've taken out. So it's not a clump of metal at the back. They've cut out. What they've then done is they've repositioned that weight lower down. Just helps you launch the ball a little bit higher, and just gives that slightly more forgiving. So for weight from the heel to toe, just giving us a bigger sweet spot. So that's one of the improvements I've seen over the last few years, is the cavity and just the amount of cavity in the players category. And the last area I'd like to look at and just explain a little bit about is the forging of the golf club. I've got the Ping i200 here. It's probably the only one in the category that isn't forged, that's come from a cast. But Ping actually have been renowned for producing some of the best cast irons in the world. They actually do casting for piping and things outside of the golf industry. So they produce some incredible casting clubs. Now I've hit this and it does feel fantastic, so it's not what I'm trying to prove here, but a lot of these are forged clubs, and basically what that means is I've just picked up a Mizuno here, and basically what a forged club and a cast club is, a cast has a pre-cast and you're pouring the metal into that, and then at incredibly high temperatures, and what they do then is that casting, as the metal then solidifies and cools down, it'll be cast into that. Now a forged club is basically a lump of metal, and what they do is they actually cut it out from the lump. They sort of use incredibly heavy hammers, which are foot presses, so they push down. You can actually watch some really cool videos of that on the Mizuno website. So basically they've got a guy there sitting down who's using this incredibly strong hammer. They're about 4 tons, and they're just smashing down on there, and what that does is they're just forging out of a lump of metal the club that they desire, and then how they finish it off is they cut it out of that once they've thinned out the material. So what they're saying the benefits are, if you have a look between some of the discussions out there, is they're saying that forging, as you go ahead and hit it, is going to be slightly softer, and they say that forging is a little bit easier to control the distances. Because what it doesn't do is, if you had to look at the molecular structure of the club, it doesn't have these bubbles in it, or would look as bubbles. So that's one of the things the debate is there with the cast clubs. Sometimes they will have more bubbles in the structure, and therefore sometimes you'll get that hotter shot off the face, where the forged club, not only does it feel softer, but there's just a little bit more of the distance control. But it does mean that you got to be a little bit more consistent in strike because the heads are a little bit smaller. Just in summing up the players irons category, what sort of a player should be looking at using these clubs? Well, again, it depends on the individual and what kind of a ball striker you are. So it's normally, if I'd have to categorize a player, it would certainly be anybody who's a 16 handicap and below. But when I say 16 handicap, it's a guy that strikes the ball pretty consistently. Because what you're going to lose out with these golf clubs is, if you're not striking it well enough, your distance control is not going to be as good as a forgiving club, because what will happen is you're going to lose a lot of ball speed. But these irons have so much more benefit in certain areas. So you're going to have an added feel, and you're going to have that nice look, and you're just going to have a bit of workability. So I'm going to just, having said all of that, let me just hit one. I'll grab this one and just have a hit. Just feels great to be able to hit a club like that. That was a pretty good strike, so just an awesome feel to it.